Indie Comics Deep Dive with Mona and Sam. Welcome back to Indie Comics Deep Dive with me, Sam, and my co-host, Mona.
Hey, everybody.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of Section 12.
Exciting.
Specifically, issue number 1 of Section 12 Flashback. Big spoiler warning here.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it yet, maybe hit pause, grab the comic, and come back. It's free on innovationspress.com.
That's right.
And also don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to get more awesome indie comic content. Now, you might already be familiar with Section 12 Declassified, but today we're focusing solely on issue number 1 of Flashback.
Okay.
Taking you back to the gritty origins of this complex world. Before we get into this story, I think it's super interesting how this comic even saw the light of day.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating journey, and I think it's worth highlighting the comic's unconventional path to publication.
It's a story of passion and persistence.
For sure.
I mean, the writer Len Mihalovich started this back in 1992.
Wow.
Aiming for the big leagues like Marvel and DC.
Yeah, he even received a rejection letter from Marvel.
Oh, really?
Which, if I'm not mistaken, is now proudly displayed on the Section 12 website as a badge of honor.
It is.
Yeah.
Talk about turning a setback into inspiration, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Turn that rejection into fuel.
Yeah. But it's a rite of passage for so many creative people, especially in the competitive world of comics.
It's how you handle those setbacks that defines you.
Totally. And this is where Len's story takes an interesting turn.
Okay.
He got some advice from an editor at Dark Horse Comics, a smaller but well-respected publisher.
This editor sounds like a mentor figure, someone who genuinely wanted to help Len find his path.
For sure, the editor's advice was pure gold, basically telling him to focus on building a portfolio and getting experience with smaller publishers first.
Yeah.
It's like learning the ropes before you try to climb Mount Everest.
Such practical advice you see breaking into comics isn't just about raw talent, it's about building a body of work and showing publishers what you're capable of.
Right, so Len took that advice to heart. He started writing for fanzines, which are these amazing little passion projects, and really honed his skills. He then created Section 12, and then get this, he finds a publisher through a classified ad in Comic Buyer's Guide.
Wow. Talk about old school networking, that takes some serious hustle.
Doesn't it? He ends up partnering with Dilemma Productions.
Okay.
And this is where Section 12 gets its start as part of an anthology series.
Oh, cool.
It even became their best-selling title.
That's great.
Which is pretty huge. But the story doesn't end there.
Okay.
Len met artist Phil Miller at a comic convention in Utica, New York. They revamped the original story, found a new home for Section 12. They eventually moved to Mythic Comics in Canada, where Section 12 gets its own standalone title.
It's great to see the series getting that recognition, a chance to really spread its wings.
I know, it's like watching a fledgling bird take its first flight.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the comic book industry was going through some massive upheavals at the time.
Right.
There were distribution problems, tons of smaller publishers shutting down.
Yeah.
And sadly, Mythic Comics was one of them.
Oh, no.
The second issue of Section 12 never even got published.
It's heartbreaking when external factors like that derail a creative project, especially when so much passion and hard work has gone into it. It's a reminder of how unpredictable the industry can be.
Totally. It's a good thing Len didn't give up. Now, fast forward 15 years.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really cool.
Okay.
Len, along with the original artist Phil Miller and the publisher from Dilemma Productions, Michael Kelleher,
wow,
decide to revive Section 12.
Talk about a reunion tour, right? And it speaks volumes about their dedication to the project. It's not just a job for them, it's something they believe in.
They form Innovations Press and decide to publish both the original 1990s adventures as Section 12 Flashback.
Right.
Phil even drew several cover options back then.
Oh, wow.
Mythic picked one for their release.
Okay.
But for this Innovations Press revival, they decided to go with one of the original alternate covers. It's like they're bridging the gap between the past and present.
That's such a smart approach. It honors the series' roots while also giving new readers a jumping-on point. Yeah, definitely a good place to start if you want to get into Section 12. This first issue really kind of sets up the whole world, all the mystery and intrigue that follows in the later issues.
Okay, so let's finally dive into the story of Section 12, Flashback number 1. So the issue starts with a bang.
Literally.
We're introduced to Lieutenant Michael Batterson, but not as we know him. He's transformed into this massive creature.
Okay.
All muscle and rage. Think the Hulk, but without the green hue. He's smashing into a building, tossing around debris like pebbles.
Wow.
A SWAT team is desperately trying to contain him. But he even takes down a helicopter.
No way.
Phil Miller's art in these panels is phenomenal. It really captures the raw power of this transformed Batterson. The SWAT team eventually manages to subdue him with gas grenades. But it's clear This guy is a force to be reckoned with.
For sure. Yeah, the artwork in these first couple pages it really captures that sense of panic and chaos. Like, you can almost feel the ground shake as this thing is like tearing through everything.
This creature is a former Special Forces soldier, and he had volunteered for this government research project that was supposed to enhance soldier strength. But obviously something went terribly wrong.
Like the classic kind of tragic hero setup, right? He's trying to serve his country, trying to make a difference, and ends up becoming the victim of this experiment gone wrong.
Exactly, and that's where Section 12 comes in. They are this top-secret government facility designed to contain scientific failures like Batterson, so it's like a high-security prison. Anything that goes bump in the night because a science experiment went wrong. We cut to a much darker scene.
Oh.
It's where we first encounter Nite-Fall, even though we don't fully see him.
Right.
The scene is chilling. A terrified guard is bringing food to Nite-Fall's cell. And his internal monologue reveals just how scared he is of this unseen inmate.
Wow.
We see brief glimpses of Nite-Fall.
Okay.
A long, bony finger reaching out.
Creepy.
Glowing eyes peering from the shadows.
Oh, that's scary.
And we hear his chilling laughter.
I love the concept of Section 12 itself. Like, it just raises so many questions.
It's definitely a morally gray area. And we see that right away.
Yeah.
When Batterson comes face to face with project director Whitney Thorne. And let's just say she's not exactly welcoming.
She's a very interesting character. Very cold and calculating. She definitely sees Batterson as more of a problem to be managed than a person who needs help.
Right. So it really raises the question, like, how far are we willing to go in the name of scientific progress?
Right. And then that ethical dilemma becomes even more complex. When Thorne offers Batterson a deal, she says that if he helps Section 12 with their missions, they'll treat his condition and maybe even find a cure.
You know the classic devil's bargain. He's forced to work for the very organization that imprisoned him, just for a chance at being human again.
But then, before we can even see what he decides, we're introduced to another major player in this story, Miss Fire. She was once an Olympic gymnast named Lucy Redgrave, but she developed this rare neurological disorder. And then a medical treatment backfired and turned her into basically a human energy vampire. She needs to absorb neural energy from others to survive. And she can release that energy as like these powerful blasts of fire.
Right. And she's not afraid to use those powers, especially when she stages this daring breakout from Section 12.
That breakout scene is one of the highlights of this issue. It's really cool how she uses her powers in these really creative ways to overpower guards and free other inmates.
She's definitely not someone to mess with. And of course, this leads to this huge showdown. We got Batterson Thorne and even this brilliant but slightly eccentric scientist named Dr. Ron Tyler, all caught in the middle of Miss Fire's rampage.
It's a great action sequence. Really intense. You know, you got Batterson trying to protect Thorne. At the same time, you got Tyler trying to hold off Miss Fire.
And then things take a pretty dark turn, when it looks like Miss Fire might have actually killed Dr. Tyler.
Right. But then later on, we find out that that's not quite what happened. We see Tyler alive and well, which raises a whole bunch of questions about what's really going on at Section 12.
And as if things weren't complicated enough already, Batterson starts to lose control of his transformation. He's turning back into that creature.
Right.
Before he can fully transform, Thorne tranquilizes him.
Yeah. That moment when she says, "I think you've had enough for your first day," that is chilling.
It really is. And then we see Batterson back in his cell. He's trying to record this message about his concerns. But the transformation overtakes him, and he becomes Batter, that monstrous creature from the beginning of the issue. He's lost all sense of reason. Just pure instinct now.
And then just when you think things can't get any more intense, the issue ends with this other terrifying inmate, Nite-Fall, this creature that even the guards are afraid of.
Yeah, talk about ending on a cliffhanger. So that's issue number 1 of Section 12, Flashback.
What I find really interesting about Lenovations Press, they're publishing both the original 1990s adventures as Section 12, Flashback, and a modern-day continuation called Section 12, Declassified. I think it's a brilliant approach catering to both old and new fans.
It's like creating a conversation between the past and the present, letting these two different eras of the series coexist and even influence each other.
Exactly. Now let's dive into some of the behind-the-scenes trivia about the creation of Section 12. You ready for some inside scoop?
Always, this is my favorite part.
Did you know that the issue we're discussing today is actually a reimagining of the original Section 12 origin story, the one that was first published back in 1994 as part of Dilemma Presents? It's true. Len wanted to update the story with Phil Miller's artwork and present it in full color for a modern audience.
And it was a brilliant decision. The artwork really pops in this issue. The colors are vibrant, and the action sequences are even more dynamic.
I completely agree. Now, here's another interesting tidbit for you. Lenovations Press is known for their love of Easter eggs and hidden references in their comics. They like to sprinkle these little gems throughout their stories, adding an extra layer of fun for readers who like to dig a little deeper. But interestingly enough, Section 12, Flashback number 1, doesn't have any Easter eggs.
Wait, really? That's so surprising. Why not?
It's because Len wasn't writing that way back in the early 1990s when he first created Section 12. He was focused on telling a straightforward, impactful story. So this issue is pure, unadulterated origin story goodness, free from any meta references or nods to other comics.
That makes sense. It allows the story to stand on its own, to introduce the characters in the world of Section 12 without any distractions.
Exactly. And speaking of setting the stage, it's worth noting that Section 12, Flashback, takes place in 1994, which aligns perfectly with the original publication date of the first Section 12 stories.
That's a cool detail. It grounds the Flashback series in a specific time period, making it feel even more authentic and nostalgic for readers who were around back then.
It's like a time capsule taking you back to the golden age of indie comics.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to touch on something you said earlier about Lenovations Press and their motto, comics done for fun.
It's a great motto. You can tell they're really passionate.
Yeah, and I think that translates to the reader. You can feel the energy, the enthusiasm. It makes you just want to dive in.
Absolutely. There's this playfulness to it, this experimentation. In the art, the writing, they take risks, try new things.
And that's what makes indie comics so exciting. They offer a glimpse into these creators who are pushing the boundaries.
Section 12, Flashback, is a perfect example. Entertaining and thought-provoking, action-packed, but also emotional.
It really stays with you.
It does.
And leaves you with a lot to think about. These ethical dilemmas, questions of identity, the consequences of unchecked ambition.
These are all themes that hit home.
Section 12, Flashback, doesn't shy away from them.
It really makes you confront these issues, question your own assumptions.
It's not just a story, it's a conversation, a dialogue. So if you're looking for something different, something challenging, check out Section 12, Flashback, and other titles from Lenovations Press.
You can find them on their website and on platforms like Global Comics, Indie Planet, and Drive-Thru Comics. All the links are in the show notes.
And if you want to support them directly, check out their Patreon. There's exclusive content, behind-the-scenes stuff, and more. That link is in the show notes as well.
It's a great way to connect with the creators.
Thanks for joining us today. And a huge thank you to Len Mihalovich, Phil Miller, Michael Kelleher, Josh C. Lyman, and Lawrence Guerrero, the entire creative team behind Section 12 Flashback. Thank you for this incredible work.
It's been great.
Until next time, keep exploring those indie comics.
And keep diving deep.